I'm having like Vietnam flashbacks to Game of Thrones Season 8. Getting a similar vibe.
Yeah, no, I'll sing praises about Season 8 before I ever say anything nice about Empress Theresa.
That's the level we're on, folks. That's the level we're on. Hey folks, this is a collab I recorded with KrimsonRogue about a year ago, and then never ended up making anything of it. But while I was feeling a bit burned out from YouTube, I listened to it again, and it was such a great time that I thought it would be a shame if it just got left on the pile. That, and Krimson's a pretty wholesome dude, so I felt bad about wasting his time, you know? For the sake of my editor's health, we had to cut out a lot of the good content. But if you're interested, there's an hour and 20-minute long cut of our conversation with all the jokes and juicy bits that's available on my Patreon page for as little as $1 a month, and also for my YouTube channel members. That version isn't animated though, understandably. I think my editor would have sued me. Anyways, it's there if you want it, and I hope you enjoy. But first, this video is sponsored by Raycon Premium Wireless Earbuds. They offer high quality sound, added bass, superb noise isolation, seamless Bluetooth pairing, 6 hours of playtime, smooth curves, sleek design, snug fit, tight grip, available in a variety of colors, perfect for podcasts, for music, even ASMR. Ooh. Click the link below or go to buyraycon.com/cynical reviews to get 15% off your order and help support the channel. Go down to the video description for a link. Ooh, what are you doing, step sponsor? Today I'm joined by the perfect combination of good looks and brains into a single YouTuber, the most alpha of chads, Mr. KrimsonRogue. How are you doing, good sir?
I am doing great. My hair is doing even better.
That's good to hear. We do like a good head of hair here. And so, for the benefit of the ignorant masses, who are you and what do you do?
Well, the short version is I am a dedicated bibliophile, an avid reader, a lover of the written word, and I spend my spare time by reading the worst books imaginable and ranting about it on YouTube.
And we're here today because we're going to be taking a deep, dark dive into the wormhole that is Empress Theresa, which has been called the worst book ever written. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't call it a book so much as a tome of collected madness.
And what makes this story a little bit more interesting is that it's written by a guy who, by all accounts, is somewhat of a lolcow.
The author is something of a dedicated fanboy in regards to Joan of Arc, so the book is supposed to be a love letter to her. It's written in such a way that I'm not sure he knows what a book is.
He smelled a book once.
Norman Boutin, the author, is one of the most curious attempts at a writer that I can actually think of. He does pretty much everything you can do wrong in writing the book and in dealing with a criticism. He has become legendary for how badly his book has been received and how he's responded.
So he's basically the Derek Savage of novels.
I think that's an insult to Derek Savage.
Wow, when you're worse than Derek Savage, that's really saying something. My expectations are really high at this point.
I mean, say what you will about Cool Cat Saves the Kids, at least there's something of a coherent plot.
So the first question I have is, what is Empress Theresa?
I cannot accurately sum up this book in only a few short words. The entire thing comes off as the most Mary Sue of Mary Sues. The main character is the most overly perfect protagonist ever, and is therefore astonishingly boring. There are typos, grammatical errors. The logic of the book never begins. The universe building is garbage. The magic system is garbage. None of the characters have an ounce of realism in them. And the whole thing goes on for so long This book is almost impossible to actually follow. I'm not a slow reader, but this thing took me 2 months to get through. If you have any expectations left, just get rid of them.
Isn't there one point where they try and blow her up with an atom bomb?
Oh my god, yes. At one point, the United States government decides that Theresa is too much of a potential threat. Keep in mind, she's not done anything, but she could be hostile, so they might as well blow her up. I mean, it's U.S. foreign policy in a single sentence, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't think of anything more American than trying to blow up a teenage girl with an atom bomb.
Theresa has oil, go for her. So they decide to kill her in the most amazing way. It's not that she is put up for lethal injection, she's not sent to the electric chair, she's not lined up against a wall and shot. She is abducted in the middle of the street by an unnamed United States federal agency. She's brought onto 3 separate helicopters, which leads her to a jet, which takes her to an aircraft carrier, which puts her on another jet, which takes her to another aircraft carrier, which puts her on a third jet, which is armed with an atom bomb, where she is sent up into the sky, and the atom bomb is supposed to completely atomize her, killing both her and Hal.
Never mind the effect that would have on the planet and...
If you think that was ridiculous, the escape plan is so much dumber.
I can't wait to hear this.
Because Theresa is given the worst, most incompetent guards ever. Like, they don't constantly have guns trained on her. She's not even in handcuffs. At one point, they're brought to this old abandoned military facility where she's brought into a cafeteria and allowed to get food. The guards just go outside and establish a perimeter while she pretty much just does her own thing. So she goes and she just randomly picks up 12 bottles of Coke and puts them in a trash bag and carries those with her all the way to the third jet armed with the atom bomb. She's given a thermal jumpsuit because, you know, it'll get cold up there. I mean, you're only blowing her up with an atom bomb, but you don't want her to be uncomfortable. As the jet is ascending, she empties all the Coke bottles, seals them really tight so water can't get in, stuffs them inside of her jumpsuit, and then wrenches open the cockpit and jumps out at about 54,000 feet, where she lands with the most epic of belly flops into the South Atlantic Ocean.
That's gotta hurt.
She's knocked unconscious. She floats there for about 2 weeks before the British Navy discover her. Minutes after she's rescued, she promptly dies.
Like, she waits to be rescued before she died. That's nice of her.
I can't explain it any better than that. This book is insane.
And sponsored by Coke. I wonder if it was actually sponsored, if this is actually product placement, or whether Norman just really liked Coke.
It's got to be that, or it's got to be Pepsi trying to do some underseated things.
Maybe. Oh, we're getting deep into the rabbit hole now. This is some Alex Jones level shit. We put the Coke in the water and turned the friggin' frogs gay.
Everything I just described, except for like the rescue by the British Navy, that is all contained in a single chapter.
And how many chapters are there in this book?
28, spread out over 465
Sweet
pages.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I feel like this is a gold mine.
I am halfway through this book, and all 3 parts are about 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
I never intended the reviews to be this long, but there's just... People need to understand the sheer depths of the madness in this book.
Apparently the book manages to offend not just people with any semblance of intelligence, and Catholics, and women, but it's also managed to offend Jews as well.
Oh yeah. I have not actually gotten to this part in my reviews yet, but there is a section coming up, I believe I can get to this in part 4, that will rather offend the citizens of Israel and anyone of Jewish heritage.
Holy shit. That sounds amazing.
It is surprisingly tasteless. I'm not Jewish, and I was offended.
Before we go any further, we have got to talk about these book covers. This is the first one, is that right? One that looks kind of like a kid's scrapbook? I mean, I'm already fascinated. I like how she's holding the whole world in her hands. Symbolism.
Sad to say, that is the most clever thing about this cover.
She's got the whole world in her hands. But why has he just put, like, events from the novel on the front page and actually written out what these events are? Why has he done that?
because he doesn't know how titles work.
I think this is the first book cover I've ever seen that actively contains spoilers for the book. Can you just imagine, like, reading that headline? United States detonates atom bomb, woman killed.
That would raise so many questions.
This is the second book cover, right? And he also painted this himself?
Yes, he did. He designed all of these covers. To take on that extra work, to do the work yourself, I think is admirable. The problem is the man has absolutely no aptitude for art.
Hey, I mean, it's pretty good for a 6-year-old.
Look, he even drew inside the lines. I mean, just ignore the fact that the hat is off-center.
The hat looks like it's been, like, cut out in Photoshop and then stuck on her head, but in the wrong place. It's also too big. And what is happening with her breasts? Like, what are those?
Big bags of sand.
It's just reminded me of, like, you know, the bit in the 40-Year-Old Virgin where he's like, yeah, they felt like big bag of sand. But they're extremely wonky. Like, one is sort of pointing off to the right and the other one is, like, pointing off to the left. And why are the boobs, like, lighter than the rest of her uniform?
Glow-in-the-dark bra.
I really don't think he's understood how lighting works, because it just abruptly begins where the top of her boob is and then carries on down.
What I really appreciate is that there are buttons right over her nipples.
But no, this book doesn't contain any sexual elements whatsoever.
No, not a one.
I can't even see any pockets there. There are no pockets, they're just buttons.
You are correct, there are no pockets.
Just where her nipples are, just by pure coincidence. I don't know about you, but this somehow looks even worse.
The hat is still weird, she still has that dead, doll-eyed expression, she's still out of
He's
uniform.
managed to completely fuck up her hands. Like, what even are...
Oh god, the hands are something out of a nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use my strong hand.
He's also kept the nipple buttons. Because those are so important.
I just love that the term nipple button now exists.
I should put that on a t-shirt. I also like how there's these guys doing target practice in the background, but they're all in lines in front of each other.
That is not at all how those work, because you've got people in rows behind other people shooting guns at those people, so people are actually going to die.
I think it's interesting as well how the best painted thing in this image is the building in the background. So it's kind of like Hitler. His paintings, if you look, he's actually all right at painting buildings, but he never gets the people right. So he was told a few times, maybe you should be an architect, and they rejected him from the academy. But he was like, nah, I don't want to be an architect, I want to be an artist.
Suddenly the book's connections to Hitler, and comparing Hitler to Theresa, take on a brand new light.
Oh, and the last one, which is arguably the best, but still looks pretty weird.
I'd say that this one could at least get a passing grade in like a middle school art class. She still looks horrifying. If I saw somebody who had that kind of slack-jawed, dead-eyed expression staring at me, I'd back away immediately. But it is an improvement.
I mean, she still looks like a sex doll, but a slightly more appealing sex doll. I mean, I know they say we can't judge a book by its cover, but I think in this case we very much can.
Yes, absolutely.
Does he have free samples available for, like, people to read?
Actually, he does have a few chapters available on his website.
Oh, he has a website?
He has a nightmare of a website that was out of fashion in the early 90s.
Oh, we gotta take a look at this. Holy shit. This is reminding me of my AOL dial-up days.
This is everything you don't want to do in website design. Not only are the pages gigantic walls of text, but the font changes are what really get me. There's no reason to change the font style, the size, the color.
Yeah, it changes all the time. Sometimes it's in italics and sometimes it isn't.
It's like he just came by every once in a while to update it and randomly cycle through different font choices.
Yeah, it just randomly changes size. I guess maybe he thinks that kids can't read, so he has to, like, make it as bright and colourful and distinctive as possible in order to maintain attention.
The jangling keys defense.
Which is somewhat ironic because it looks like it was designed by a 4-year-old. And of course the website's not secure. Of course it isn't. I feel like I'm going to catch a virus if I just click on anything on this website. Let's take a look at chapter 1. Author's note. This chapter sets up the story. Well, no shit, mate. That's how a book works. Chapters 2 and 3 will show Theresa's maturation into a teenager and introduce Steve Hartley, who will be critical to the story. The action will begin in chapter 4. If the action begins in the 4th chapter of the book, you've waited too long.
There are all sorts of ways to really do this, but what really gets me is just after that section, he says, it's cliche to put a murder, explosion, or something of that nature on page 1 to grab the reader. And it's like, you idiot, that's called a hook. It's vital. Writers use those. Writers depend on those.
Have you ever read books where they spend like 4 pages just describing the scenery? It's fucking awful.
Not in any books that I've ever enjoyed.
Alright, well, let's get into this.
Good idea.
I'm Theresa, the younger daughter of Edward and Elizabeth Sullivan, and I hope it's not bragging to say that I was cute as heck at age 10. Kind of is. Kind of is bragging.
Now, I've said this multiple times in my reviews, but the opening line of your book is vital. That is how you are introducing yourself to your readers. That is how the world and the characters are being introduced to the readers. We're 1 sentence in, and I already don't like this character. She sounds braggadocious and probably really immature.
I mean, it does read like baby's first writing exercise, you know? I'm immediately turned off. I just don't want to read anymore. I just don't care.
Surprising how fast that happens.
I mean, to be honest, nobody's going to say that they were ugly when they were 10, right?
My name is Bob Smith, and I was the ugliest little shit when I was a kid.
Everyone in the family said so. I was the princess in the Sullivan clan of Framingham, Massachusetts, because besides being cute, I was a whiz in school and had a good disposition. All the relatives expected great things from me. Is she going to suck her own dick for, like, 400 pages? Is that what this is?
I'm just going to make this as clear and concise as possible. Yes.
Nobody could have dreamed of what I would do a few years later, and nobody would have believed it if they'd been told. Prime Minister Blair said I'd still be remembered in 1,000,000 years. Did you catch that? Yeah, we caught that. Churchill, Hitler, and Lincoln will be footnotes in dusty history books 1,000 years from now, and nobody remembers Charles Martel, who saved Christianity in Europe by winning the Battle of Tours 300 years ago to set up the world as we know it today. That's a long sentence. But Prime Minister Blair said I'd be remembered for 1,000,000 years.
That is the first of many, many, many references to Christianity.
And we're only in, like, the 3rd proper paragraph.
Oh, yeah, dude, when I reviewed this in part 1 of my review, it took me 20 minutes to get through page 1.
I like how she's put Churchill, Hitler, and Lincoln in the same sentence.
Yeah, because they're all comparable. What's actually kind of alarming is this is not the only time she compares herself to Hitler.
Oh, really?
I think Norman is secretly telling us something.
I was the last person you would expect to earn that accolade. Judging by everything you've said so far, I'm calling bullshit. I had to learn all I could about the world. I wondered why should I be worrying about it in the 4th grade. I'd soon find out.
Legendary foreshadowing.
We're lost in this confusing world unless we follow the directions of its maker. I did. It's the only thing that got me through. That and your ridiculous superpowers.
I'd also like to point out that is the 2nd reference to Christianity or God on 1 page.
Oh, but she never mentions God. She never mentions God. Honest.
No, not at all. No.
He said so on his website, so it must be true. Everyone has pressures. There are 2 kinds. One is threats to your life and health. I had more than my share of that with 1,000 assassins wanting to get me. The other kind is bearing responsibility for other people's lives and welfare. That's really tough if you care about them, but easy if you don't. I'll be telling my own story, which is a good thing because nobody knows it as well as me. The drawback is that there are some things I can't know because I wasn't there.
I just want to point out real quick, one of the more bizarre things that Norman does with this book is he set it up as first-person omniscient, so everything is told from Theresa's point of view, and she kind of gets a general idea of how everything functions and what everyone's thinking. The problem is, the thing that's confusing is that it feels like dozens of times she escapes that limitation and she tells things from her point of view as if she's with a character she's talking about when she's nowhere near that person.
Right. So the book breaks its own perspective.
Multiple times. It's actually kind of difficult to follow sometimes.
On top of all the other problems.
Oh, yeah.
Catherine hadn't been a whiz in school like me, and she was thinking of going to one of the many trade schools around Boston after high school. Why was that relevant?
It wasn't. And also, say goodbye to Catherine because she shows up like once more in this chapter and is never seen in the book again.
That's a running theme, isn't it? Stuff gets introduced and then not really mentioned again.
Oh, wait until you see the Parker children.
It was too little eating after all. Nothing had really happened. What? It was too little eating after all? I'm sorry, I don't understand that sentence. I think reading this is making me gradually more stupid.
Yeah, good luck. We're only like on page 4 of the actual book.
What do you have? 115 degrees here, a fireman shouted. It's 70 here. Yep, we have something. A crowd of neighbours was gathering near the confused fireman. I'm a little bit confused as well. Are they're measuring the temperature?
Yes, as Teresa's about to explain, someone complained that it was really hot, and their first instinct was to call the fire department.
That's not how the fire department works. That's not how it works. What? Is this something that we can add to the long list of things that Norman doesn't understand?
Quite possibly, yes.
I sat on the sofa thinking for a while. I felt I was being watched. Or was somebody listening? I spotted the phone. Was somebody listening on the phone? I dialed 0 for the operator. Operator, how may I help you? Can I have the number for Alice Pizza in Framingham? 1 second, please. Thanks. I hung up. So they weren't listening. What? How does that... How does that indicate that they weren't listening to her?
I think it's going on some old misconception about how tapping your phones works. But that is the closest I can think of as to what this is.
Yeah, I got nothing. That makes no sense.
Well, that's the problem that Norman does. He sets things up in such a way that it only makes sense to him. It doesn't make any sense in anyone else's head.
But this is why you have beta readers. And this is why you have, like, writing forums. But we'll get to that stuff later. We got back home and Mom took things into the bedroom. Mom took things into the bedroom. Ooh.
Yup.
Sorry, I've been on the internet too long.
We both have.
2 days later, Mum took me to a nearby strip mall. Wait, what?
Oh, do you not have those in England?
We don't call them strip malls. Wait, that's not what I'm thinking of, is it?
Probably not, no. It's a series of small stores that are kind of lined up like you would see in a mall, but they're all outside.
Oh, yeah, we do have those, yeah. Sorry, I saw the word strip and my mind went into the gutter again.
Well, I mean, the mom did just go into the bedroom, so...
That's true, that is true. There was a DVD movie rental store. Whether you know this is fucking old. Hi, Teresa. Some woman I didn't know was standing next to me.
Did you think that it was creepy before? Because it's about to get really creepy.
Do you have a cell phone? Yeah. Call me when you're alone. She handed me a piece of paper with a phone number. So Teresa's not questioning how this woman knows her name. She just automatically assumes that this woman is with the Watchers.
Stranger danger's not a thing.
No, not at all. Hi, said the cheerful woman. I'm Jan Struthers from the United States government. Are you alone? Who the fuck talks like that?
To a child!
To a child?
She's 10!
Who the fuck says, I'm from the United States government? Surely they say what government agency they're from. But why is she talking to the girl directly? Why isn't she talking to her parents?
This whole scene is a clusterfuck.
Are you alone? Yeah, are you? You know I'm not. There are 60 people with me in this room.
Hold on, does it say 60? Because I'm reading in the book, and it says 20. Norman actually went back and, I don't want to say that he edited the book, because that's not what he did. He changed a few things around. That could be one of the things he changed.
But why would he... What? Out of all the things he could have changed, why was that one of them?
I have no idea, dude.
This woman insisted that Teresa be alone when she speaks to her, and yet she has 60 people in the room with her when she speaks to this 10-year-old girl.
The great thing is, I don't think they explain where Jan is, so I like to imagine they're all crammed together in a single hotel room.
They're just all standing around outside a phone booth. You were giving off a lot of heat. We know you were because we saw it all around you. So if she was the source of all the heat, why didn't the firemen detect that it was coming from her? And why didn't everyone around her say, oh, fuck me, it's really hot now? Like, why did nobody notice?
Chalk it up to the lengthy list of inconsistencies in this book.
Plot hole!
If Teresa's putting out that much heat, why would she need a thermal jumpsuit in Chapter 4?
Because plot.
Because she needed something to put the Coke bottles into.
Maybe she needed the jacket to withstand the effects of the atom bomb. There is nothing natural to Earth that could have caused that heat. The thing from space did it. We watched you rent that movie 2001: A Space Odyssey. You are aware of that thing. What?
Yeah,
What's the connection? Oh fuck, it goes on like this for a while.
Such riveting dialogue.
I know, right? This was the most important interview since Moses came down the mountain. What?
But remember, there are no references to God or religion in this book.
Who the fuck writes like that? Why would Theresa even say that herself? That's such an arrogant thing to say. But you know, if this was actually the US government, they'd be hauling her off to a black site. You know, this girl would never be seen again. She'd end up in Black Mesa.
Yeah, probably, actually. That would have been such a better story, too.
That would have been such an amazing story. Can you imagine, like, Half-Life, but instead of Gordon Freeman, it's just a teenage girl with waifu powers?
After a while, your brain just shuts off and you stop trying.
And I noticed an orange spot in the middle of my field of view. Oh, is this the aimbot?
This is the aimbot, yes.
It's like a crosshair.
Oh, you'll love this.
I got the rocks and walked 15 feet away from the can. I threw the rocks while keeping the orange dot in my eye field on the can. The rocks hit the can again. He really likes writing can, doesn't he?
Does it every chance he can.
It was an aiming device. It got the rocks to wherever I was looking. Interesting, but I couldn't see any use for it. You can't see any use for it. What? She's incredible. Someday she might pitch for the Red Sox.
Or, you know, a good team. I honestly don't know anything about sports. I'm just throwing shade.
Mum had bought steaks. There was a new bottle of steak sauce. I tried to open it, but it was tight. The problem with these steak bottles was that the cap was so narrow. There was no leverage. Yeah, there was no leverage to twist it. I tried harder. No wonder little old ladies starved to death. What?
I'm sorry, I love that line.
Starved to death because they can't open bottles of steak sauce.
Once you hit menopause, you've got to get a daily dose of steak sauce or you shrivel up. It's maddening, isn't it?
Yeah, he doesn't know how to write dialogue. Or just anything. Who are you? I work for the American government. How many of you are there? Hundreds. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people who work for the American government, all right. A meeting was arranged with the Cardinal. It was concluded that there was no diabolical possession. I was a perfectly normal good girl. So, after going into so much irrelevant detail and taking so long with certain scenes, he just says that there was a meeting with the Cardinal and just skips over it in like one line.
Yeah, the Cardinal is... And that is what I'm talking about when I say he just glazes over things that are actually of some importance. And meanwhile, we've got these page-long back and forths between Theresa and Jan about, oh, well, did you eat right? What was the alien like? Does it talk to you? It's so challenging to get through because it is so unengaging. Nothing is there for the reader to desperately grasp onto. We are still on the first chapter.
The dialogue is so straightforward and unengaging. All the descriptions and sentences are really boring. Like, it's hard to make sense of what's happening and why. There's no explanations given for stuff that needs explanations. There's no reason to be emotionally invested in it at all. I did so well in the 5th grade, it was decided I'd skip 6th and go straight into the 7th.
You'll love the explanation for this. It is so stupid.
Part of the decision to let me skip a year was my hair. It started becoming very thick after Hal came around. Mum was sure this was a sign of my change of life, and I needed to be with girls my own emotional age. What the fuck does that mean?
I think that's supposed to indicate physical maturity,
I guess.
as opposed to anything else. As someone with nearly perfect silken hair myself, I can attest that this is a bullshit standard to hold people to.
And as somebody with multiple experiences of the Whammons, I can attest from personal experience that that's not what hair feels like. One day, I asked her how many people were watching me. 400, she said. It takes that many people to watch someone 24 hours a day without being noticed. Does it really? I really... No. That is such a massive waste of taxpayer money.
Frankly, anything more than a dozen is grossly irresponsible. I mean, Jason Bourne had like a dozen or 2 dozen people watching him, and he had a confirmed kill count.
They were right. I wouldn't stay home. And that's how it ends. The first chapter. That was the first chapter. And there's what? How many more of these?
An additional 27.
There are 27 more chapters like this.
Of the chapters listed on his website, this was one of the better ones.
Oh my god.
Chapters 5 and 6. Half of each of those chapters are just a recap of events from chapter 4.
Just to pad out the book even more.
It's already over 400 pages. It doesn't need padding.
I don't think anything about this book is needed, let's be honest.
Fair point.
Yeah, let's take a look at this website a little bit more because I'm fascinated by this. The Barnes & Noble version has a beautiful back cover. The Amazon version doesn't. Bleh. Who the fuck uses emojis on their own website?
Is he saying that his own book is gross? Is that what the barfing emoji is for?
Empress Theresa is a beautiful story because Theresa is a wonderful girl who does a lot of good. You have to love her. Well, when you put it like that, you know, how can you disagree?
If you're just gonna drag us along, I guess we don't have a choice.
And I like how he's put a link. In fact, not even a link. He's just copy and pasted the URL to a 5-star review of the book on Amazon.
This is his go-to defense anytime anyone challenges him about the quality of his book. That particular review has been used, to my knowledge, a number of times. When someone says, well, your book is stupid, and he'll just pull this out and say, oh, just check out this singular 5-star review that says otherwise.
No, the book's not bad. This one guy down the pub told me it was good, so it's good.
It's like Ed Wood comes in, just responded to all the crap that he got with, well, my mom liked it.
It's 1,000 ideas tightly packed into 465 pages. You'll wish the book was longer. No. No, we really don't.
No.
There can be no argument that she does anything wrong. Her intentions are pure. I'm just a kid. I don't want to be anything else. But she gets married and has sex. And she teases boys. Sexually. So, no. What's in Empress Theresa? Violence, bombing, shootings? No. Foul language? No. Car chases? No. What's wrong with car chases?
There is a car accident scene later on in the book.
Right, so there's no violence, but there are car accidents. Mystery and crime? No. Again, what's wrong with mystery and crime? Mysterious events? Yes, so there's no mystery, but there are mysterious events. Okay. Pet chipmunks? Yes. Well, I'm fucking sold. US President, British Prime Minister, Israeli Prime Minister? Yes. Because every young girl wants to read about the Israeli Prime Minister. The book has been selling at a steady rate for 6 years. This would be impossible unless some way readers liked it and recommended it to their friends. I mean, I'm sure there were other factors in play, Norman. Every claim I make about Empress Theresa on this website or anywhere else can be confirmed by the book itself.
I mean, it can be confirmed and then discounted somewhere else in the book.
Yeah, because it contradicts itself. I mean, we've already seen how that's bullshit. Oh, he also has a tab called Genius. The Genius of Empress Theresa. Okay, here we go. Empress Theresa raises the bar of modern writing in many ways.
Well, I mean, I can put other books on top of it, so in that way, yes, it does.
Use it as a coaster.
Worry about it poisoning my drinks.
There are very few stories in which young people deal with a realistic adult world. What do you mean, realistic adult world? So books that deal with bad parenting, bullying, drugs, alcohol, and bad friends, and depression, and personal problems aren't realistic. Empress Theresa deals with issues in the adult world. The weather, food supply, oil supply, the Arab-Israel conflict, the North Korean dictatorship, and terrorism. All the things that young adults want to read about.
See, that's the thing, and I've pointed this out in my reviews. Empress Theresa goes on adult issues, so I've used that to point out that I don't need to give this book any slack. This is supposed to be an adult book, not a young adult book.
Theresa makes the world a better place.
No! No, I will fight that immediately. Theresa is so inept. Not only does she kind of use her powers against people she doesn't like a maniacal tyrant, she changes the mechanics of how the planet functions to the point where life is no longer sustainable. Where I've left off in my reviews, she just tilted the rotational axis from 23 degrees to 5 degrees in order to get rid of winter and give everyone a 12-month-long summer.
Which is gonna fuck everyone over.
She sets the planet on fire.
We did it, Patrick! We saved the city!
That is more on point than you know.
So not only is Empress Theresa a really good example of how not to write a book, it's also a very good example of how not to behave as an author. Because as I said earlier, Norman has managed to make himself into a bit of a lolcow through his reaction to criticism online.
It is frankly laughable. I did not know that there was a limit on how many times you could respond on an Amazon comment section.
Neither did I.
I think he hit it after like 10,000 replies or something. I mean, that is amazingly dedicated, if I'm going to be honest.
Because Norman has such a thin skin that he feels the need to respond to every bit of criticism online. So if you look at the Amazon page where the book's being sold and you look at the bad reviews, you'll very often see comments from Norman defending the book, slating critics, and quoting portions of the book in order to defend it.
What's funny about that is he's actually gone after me.
Oh yeah, he replied to you on Twitter, didn't he?
He replied to me on Twitter, and he made a comment about me in the Amazon page. He called me a troll directly, actually.
I also find it hilarious that he's even responded directly to random critics on Amazon on his own website. Important update. Somebody wrote this Amazon listing review on June 30th, 2017, because it's not a review unless it's positive, am I right, guys? This is the single worst book I've ever read. I didn't buy it because you don't deserve money. I downloaded a free version and slugged through the perverse, lewd, disgusting Christian propaganda that is this book. Please just never write anything again. Ever. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? Perverse, lewd, disgusting Christian propaganda? Have you ever seen anything that blasphemous? None of the dozens of other trolls objected to this remark. These people hate anything that even mentions God. You saw his words. So because all of the other negative reviewers didn't mention Christianity and didn't respond to this one review that did mention Christianity, they're all in on it.
Well, yeah, because trolls all operate in kind of a hive mind network where every single one of them knows what every single other person wrote.
The truth is, not a single Christian doctrine is mentioned in the entire book. Theresa never mentions who God is or what he does. An alien from another planet would have no idea what Theresa's religion was. If all the references to God in the book were gathered in one place, they would take up 1.5 pages out of 466 pages. That's 99.7% secular, purer than ivory soap. But that's not enough for these atheist trolls.
I can actually point you to a single page, actually multiple pages, where the entire page is nothing but people praising Theresa because she is doing God's work.
I think he's delusional. If I'd intended to write a story that the internet trolls would hate, I couldn't have done better than Empress Theresa. It's a natural internet troll target. Yeah, because it's shit. But the thing is, even if the book was terrible, if he hadn't responded in the way that he has, nobody would have really cared about it. Like, it would have gone completely unnoticed. Norman, this is all your fault. I mean, if Norman Bouton had acted in the way that Tommy Wiseau had acted, I think he'd definitely be a lot more popular online. The problem is that from the very early days of his recognition online, he has acted this way. He's been very defensive and he kind of lashes out at critics. If you notice, a lot of his replies to the reviews on Amazon have been deleted, sometimes by Norman himself, but sometimes by Amazon, because he would make very personal remarks, like he would look up the people's profiles and then use that to make comments about how bad the reviewers were. Basically doing all the things that you shouldn't do in responding to criticism. Not only does Norman feel the need to respond to every bit of criticism online, but he has a history of going into writing forums, places where you're supposed to submit portions of your writing in order for people to critique. Ostensibly, he'll ask for feedback, but then when he gets feedback, because the book is a piece of shit, he will often just reject it. No matter how cordially the advice is offered, he'll just be like, nah, you're a troll, you're a hater.
Speaking as a writer, constructive criticism is perhaps the most important tool you will ever receive. If you are not able to take criticism to your writing style in any capacity, your work will suffer as a direct result. Not to mention, he's also, on some forums, created multiple accounts in order to defend himself and attack critics.
A small part of me feels bad for him. Because imagine spending like 20 years or 40 years, whichever one it is, imagine spending all those years of your life working on something, and then this is how it turns out.
If he had any real dedication to writing, 20 years means that you should be on draft like 52 or something. He was probably just pondering, oh, wouldn't it be cool if I included this in the book?
Jerking off to Catholic waifus doesn't count as writing a book. So this top-rated review, what would you do with a 400-page rough draft presented as a finished work? That's the iconic one. The one that started off the discussion that actually maxed out the comment cap, like we mentioned earlier. Some of his responses in the thread include simply copying and pasting a link to that one 5-star review of the book that he has on his website, comparing the internet trolls to the looters from Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand, because of course this guy likes Ayn Rand. Just quoting lengthy portions of the book, quoting qualities of Theresa. Oh god, this goes on for... This is such a rabbit hole, man.
Does he just have a file permanently open and randomly highlight, like copy and paste things onto Amazon reviews in response as if that means something?
The trolls do this all the time. They dream up a phrase like false premises and claim it applies to me, but what they're saying is meaningless. Why do trolls do this? It's like Theresa says, I saw why the trolls were angry. They couldn't go where I was going. I'd have a good life. They wouldn't. It's just the most pathetic response to criticism.
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not entirely sure that 5-star review he keeps posting was made in good faith. It could just be either Norman on another account or some guy just trolling Norman. The section you just read out, though, where Theresa's explaining that, the trolls are jealous because they're not going where she is, that was taken from a section that I'm convinced was added after some of this internet fame came out. He added in an entire section about, how internet trolls suck and how they're just jealous of Theresa because she's better than them. Now keep in mind, to make that work, the internet trolls are a bunch of people who are jealous because Theresa joined the baseball team and she's really good because she's got that aimbot. He is so full of himself.
Well, that much I gathered. I'm not gonna lie, that rabbit hole honestly went a lot deeper than I was expecting it to. That was that was a wild ride. Like, I had really high expectations of what this experience was going to be like, and they've been surpassed.
It is so bizarre going through a book like this. This is the ultimate literary endurance test.
Can you imagine being forced to study this in school? It'd be like a form of cruel and unusual punishment.
They should offer that down in Guantanamo.
I was gonna say...
Can I be waterboarded instead, please?
But just bear in mind, guys, that what you've experienced is only the smallest taste of what's actually contained both within the book and in this website and in these online reviews. You have to go and check it out for yourself. But if you want to know a bit more about Empress Theresa without actually soiling your hands with this book yourself, I suggest you check out KrimsonRogue's review series. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Normally what I'll do is I'll just go after a book and try to point out a few highlights, a few amusing lines. Empress Theresa is such a gold mine that I have gone on talking about this book far longer than I thought was possible. There is so much wrong with it. It is truly a sight to behold.
So yeah, guys, go subscribe to him, go check those out, and subscribe to me while you're at it if you're not, because why wouldn't you be? Go subscribe to Krimson and check out his videos, or we'll have to come to your house and read you Empress Theresa while you sleep. Probably give you an aneurysm. I'd like to say thanks to Krimson for joining me on this adventure.
And thanks to Cynical Reviews for having me on this retread of my nightmares.
Hey folks, it's post-production CJ. Looky what I got. Expect a live stream real soon. Have you seen this thing about people putting frozen potatoes in their anus?
What?
Yeah, apparently, there's this thing. Apparently doctors are warning people not to put frozen potatoes in their anus. I don't really want to Google search it for fear of what will come up, but...
Things you should not have to say.
Latest home remedy. People are trying it because they're too embarrassed to go to the doctor.
What are they trying to cure?
Frozen French fry piece of potato inserted internally for 30 seconds is just a ticket for pile sufferers. Because a raw potato is slightly acidic, it apparently can relieve pain and itching while its frozen state constricts blood vessels in the sensitive zone. Okay. Oh, good lord.
Oh my god.
I think I'd still rather put frozen potatoes in my anus than read any more of this book.
Well, the pain would be over sooner.
Oh dear.
That's horrible.
Thanks for watching, folks. Massive shout out to Red Hunter for editing this one, the absolute mad lad. Once again, there's an extended, non-animated cut available for my backers on Patreon and for my YouTube channel members. Patrons and channel members also get early access to uncensored, ad-free versions of videos and a mention here in the credits. And every bit of support you can offer this channel is much appreciated. If you want to support the channel, you can also check out Raycon. Thanks to them for sponsoring once again. Links in the description. Follow me on Twitch if you want to see me stream, follow me on Twitter for updates, and join my public Discord server if you want to hang out. Thanks again, and I'll see you in the next one.